Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to your next episode of Wake Up American. This is your daily American English podcast where basically we help you with pronunciation Monday through Friday for a couple minutes because you can let me know if I'm right or if I'm wrong. Did you speak English this weekend? How much did you speak? Did you speak as much as you normally do during the week? Were you able to keep your practice in? Or did you take a break? I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to help you out. So that way, if it was the case that this weekend you did not use as much English as you wanted, we can help you get back into the swing of things. And when we say we, I mean me. Hello, my name is Jeff. It rhymes with breath. It's one of the four keys to a natural sound in American English pronunciation. And today, what I want to do is I want to help you. I want to help you know what to do if you are interested in studying the speech of a native speaker. What do you need to watch out for? How can you make your time the most effective? Maybe you're doing shadowing where you're just like listening and repeating. Maybe you're even just making recordings or you're watching TV shows or listening to music and you're like, I want to make this more into a pronunciation exercise. How do I do that? Cool. I have a solution. I have some things I want you to be paying attention to. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be paying attention to an audio. This is actually an audio file that I just sent over to our Telegram group. In case you don't know, we have a group on Telegram. Not a ton of spots, but a couple of spots are open. I believe we have 3. I need to update the site. And what we do every single day of the week is, including the weekend, I send audio files, and then group members can send in their own audio files, and we listen to them, and I give you suggestions and feedback. It's me and another coach, my assistant Lenore. So if you're trying to get some feedback on how you're pronouncing things, that's what the Telegram group is for. So I sent them an audio file over the weekend that I asked them to shadow. So we're going to be taking a look at what that file is, and I'm going to be listening to it, and I'm going to let you know about things I notice. So that way, if you're, for instance, trying to copy this audio file, you'll be able to do the same. And naturally, I would say that everything we talk about today, you can also apply to the speech of other audio files, other things as well. So don't feel like it only applies to what we're about to talk about. One last quick reminder. If you prefer audio versions or podcast versions, or maybe you're listening on the audio or podcast version and you prefer video, we have a YouTube channel where this comes from, and we also have an audio podcast. We had some issues with our distributor, but those have been resolved, which is very, very exciting. So if you're interested in downloading an audio version of this video to use later, if you go to fluentamerican.com/podcast, you can find us there. If you know other people are listening or looking for American English podcasts, if you could let them know what we're doing too, that would be immensely helpful. But again, fluentamerican.com/podcast. All right, guys, I'm going to be sharing my screen so that way you can hear what I hear, see what I see. Give me a moment. All right, so hopefully that'll be loading up in a second. All right, so this is not like a particularly long audio file. Excuse the infinite window for a moment. Okay. All right, so this is not like a super long audio file, but it has lots of good stuff in it. So I'm just going to play it once so you have an idea what's going to be said. And I'm going to highlight for you a couple things that I would be paying attention to. Let's start from the beginning.
I think that we need to be careful about trying to address problems.
Okay, so first things first, if I'm analyzing a file, I want to find out thought groups because thought groups are going to determine a lot of things. So let's listen to this again, just trying to find out where the thought groups are.
I think that we need to be careful about.
So to me, that part may have even had 2 thought groups.
I think that we need to be careful.
So I would break it in 2. My first one would be, it's like, I think, and then the second one, that we need to be careful. I think that we need to be careful.
I think that we need to be careful about.
And then about's the third. I think that we need to be careful about. I think we need to be careful about.
I think that we need to be careful about trying to address problems. I th-
Okay, so then the last part, trying to thought group, address. I personally might make that its own thought group because it gets a lot of weight and stress. You don't have to do that. It's your call. There's a lot of subjectivity to this. There's no right or wrong answer, really. And then problems is also on its own.
I think that we need to be careful about trying to address problems.
So I think that we need to be careful about trying to address problems, something more or less like that. Why is this even important? Well, we want to find the thought groups because what the thought groups do is they let us know how our sentence is broken up. They let us know. Sorry, give that screen a second to adjust. They let us know. Hello to English Vibes, by the way. They let us know the rhythm, how the rhythm of our sentence is going to be set up. They let us know how that's going to be. Because what happens is the thought groups let us know two things. They let us know one, where are the pauses, two, where the pitch shift's going to be, and three, how many stresses are there going to be? Because so every thought group is going to have one word that's going to receive stress. Every thought group is also going to be at a different pitch level. So every time I switch a thought group, I want to change the pitch. And that's exactly what we have going on. Let me play this audio. Give me 1 minute. You should still be able to hear.
I think that we need to be careful about.
So, for instance, we said that was 3 thought groups. I think that we need to be careful about, you could hear each one of those at a separate pitch level. You could also hear, for instance, in that section, the stresses.
I think that
Think.
we need to be careful.
This middle thought group's a little
I
tricky.
think that we need to be careful.
The immediate stress that you feel like you're hearing is careful. So if you stress careful, I'm fine with that. I almost am tempted to stress need.
We need to be careful.
We need to be careful. We need to be careful because it just goes a little bit higher. And that's one of the things you're looking for with stress words. You want to find out which one has the highest pitch. And for me, need is actually going a little bit higher. Like we need to be careful. Let me rephrase. The stress is not the highest pitch, but the stress is the place where the pitch suddenly rises from the previous syllable. So it might not be the highest, but you do get that movement. We need to be careful.
I think that we need to be careful. I think that we need to be careful.
Okay, but if you feel like no, it's on careful, I could slowly get that. We need to be careful. Like I could see it on careful as well. I just think need. I want you to be careful of need because it's not we need to be careful. It's not like that. It actually goes up a little bit. We need to be careful. So that's one of the reasons why I'm tempted to put it on
I
need.
think that we need to be careful about trying
And about its own
to.
thought group. So about its own thought group because about's 2 syllables. About, make sure you're stressing about. Make sure you're stressing about, not It's not about, it's about. We need to be careful about, and then the last part.
To address problems, trying to
So stress trying,
address
address stress, and then
problems.
problems. Okay, so now I know a couple of things. I have an idea of my stressed words. Another thing, I mentioned pitch levels. When we go from one thought group to the next, you can find pitch levels. You can do that here as well.
I think that we need to be careful.
So we start high. I think next thought group goes a little lower. That we need to be careful. And then the last one about, so we get those each thought groups kind of moving down. And that sort of pattern is very, very frequent in American English. If you have one thought group followed by another thought group, and you're like, I don't know, should my pitch go higher? Should my pitch go lower? It all depends on context and things like that, but very common strategies to have things go down. Very common strategies just have things move down as you do that. Okay, so that can always be a safe choice. I think that we need to be careful about. So something like that. Other things that are kind of standing out for me, and hopefully, if you're analyzing a native speaker audio file, the other thing I would encourage you to do is to record yourself along the way to see what you're doing different. I think
that
here a high think goes. So now we need to work out the individual pitch of each thought group. So the think goes really high.
I
I
think
think. So I need to make sure I'm going higher on think.
that we need to be
That we
careful.
need to be careful. That we need to be careful. So I know, again, I mentioned earlier what's happening with need, but then careful also getting some movement on it. We need to be careful. The to be part is so fast, right?
We need to be careful about we need to be careful
We need to be, so I can hear those little steps down. We need to be, and then we get the careful, right?
about
About, about
trying to
notice they're really dragging out vowels here. How long does it take him to say trying to?
trying to
Notice that he's saying trying to in about a full second. It's taking him almost an entire second to say those. Trying to. So you're trying to pay attention to the pitch, but you're also paying attention to the length. Okay. If you're listening to a 5-second audio file, then you want to say that in 5 seconds. You don't want to say it in 3 seconds or 2 seconds or 10 seconds. You're trying to also pay attention to the speed. If your speed is different, if you're like, oh, my audio file's a lot faster than his, why is that? You need to find, where are you losing time or where are you gaining time?
address problems.
Trying
I
to,
think
let's go to that part again.
trying to address problems.
Trying to address problems. So again, pay attention to the pitch. Try and pay attention to where some individual syllables or words are getting lengthened. One other little thing I'd encourage you to pay attention
to address problems.
So see how things are joined together. Probably the easy example would be that need to be able to.
I think that we need to be careful about. I think that we need to be careful.
That we need to be. Try to understand where there's linking going on, how it's joined together. He's not saying need to be. He's saying need to be. So he's joining that there.
Careful about trying to be careful about.
How about also pay attention to some letters? So for instance, like careful. He's not saying careful, l. No, he's using a darker. Careful, careful about.
Careful about.
Careful about.
Trying to address problems. I think that we need to be careful about trying to address problems.
Okay, so these are all things that I want you to be paying attention to. I want you to be paying attention to where are the thought groups, where are the stress words, where are the pitch for each individual thought group, what are the pitch inside of the thought group. All of these things come together to give you the natural sound. One thing that you also notice too, we didn't spend a lot of time talking about individual pronunciation of like, oh, this is how he said that one vowel sound, this is what he did here, and things like that. No, we're focusing on kind of sentence level structures, because if you're able to get this right, even if you're mispronouncing some of the sounds, you'll still be able to achieve something that sounds pretty natural. So these are the little rhythm things I would encourage you to be paying attention to. Take it the next time you're doing some shadowing, really watch out for those. In case you don't know, we have a shadowing channel that shows you where the thought groups are. It shows you where the stresses are, so that way you don't have to do that yourself. But I also encourage you to practice on your own as well. All right, guys, thank you so much for your time. We'll be back tomorrow morning with some more Wake Up American. I encourage you, if you want to practice this on the go, again, check out our podcast, fluentamerican.com/podcast. Let other people know about what we're doing. That is greatly appreciated. Okay. Hello to Nelson. Thank you for stopping by. I'm just about to head out, but it's good to see you. We'll be back tomorrow morning if you're around. It'll be good to see you there too. You guys, once more, my name is Jeff. It rhymes with breath. That's one of the 4 keys to a natural sound in American English, including placement, pitch, breath, and trying to weaken your consonant sounds. Okay. I will see you guys later. Have a good day. Have a good night. Have a good afternoon. You guys, take care.